Welcome everybody to Grow Mastermind Group. We're a group of entrepreneurs here to encourage other entrepreneurs to discover, fulfill, and acknowledge their potential. We meet every single Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name is Peter. I'm your host, and tonight we're gonna have Mr. Roman.
Here. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Hello, good evening. Hello.
Good evening.
Hello, Victoria. I see Michelangelo and Susan. Camille, did I pronounce your name correctly? Wonderful, 2 thumbs up. And I see Daniel is on the dial and Eugenia. Peter, thank you so much. And Susie, hi Susie. Peter, thank you so much for inviting me to join you tonight.
Absolutely. We're gonna wait a few more minutes, but I wanted to set up until we're gonna, more people they're gonna join.
Absolutely.
They're coming a little bit late. That's something typical, but the positive side they're coming, And,
all right.
I want you to set up and to prepare everything that you need to put. If you have a slide or anything to us, or any things that you have to show us, I already made you a co-host, so you can definitely prepare for that. And
Certainly.
here in the back, I have my beautiful setting for my professional studio. Even
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
It's gonna be just typical because my light is actually construction light. I use a construction light, a rigid that goes on LED. And this is my light that I use every single time, and you help me a lot because it's very easy to manipulate the dimness and everything. The only thing I need to put another light in the back, but coming in the future. When I get more professional, I'm gonna do that.
All right. Peter, how long is tonight's event?
Well, we're trying to keep it for like 45 minutes, and then we leave a few minutes at the end for people to ask you questions if you have any question, and then at the last 5 minutes to tell about what you do, what your service, and if you have any product to let them know about your product. That's usually what we do.
Sounds great. Thank you. Well, just while we wait for people to join, I am going to, before we get too busy, I will share with you my information. If you want to stay in touch, I can give you my LinkedIn.
Okay, sure, definitely. You can put it in the chat.
All right, I'll put it in the chat so you can all have it. I also put in my Instagram account. Let's see. So I will not be using slides. I will be talking directly to you, and I will be walking. So here's what I would like to do, because I have done talks like this quite often. And what I have learned from experience, especially when there's a diverse group of entrepreneurs that come from different marketplaces, I have found it to be best or more beneficial if I kind of measure what by the end of this course will be most beneficial to you. So what I would like to do is, since you're already here early while we're for the people, is perhaps you can take a minute or two to tell me about you and what you would like to walk out of this session. If there's one thing that you would like to walk away with, let me know what that is, and I will try my very best to satisfy that. And hopefully by the end of our time together, and you will have walked away with something of value to push you forward in your marketing and sales. Sounds good?
Absolutely, all the way, Roman. Appreciate you coming on here for sure.
Thank you, Michelangelo.
We're really excited.
Of course.
If nobody's gonna say nothing,
I could start
what
too.
are the most important? Sorry about it.
No, it's okay.
What are the most important part we have to keep in your mind is we would like to teach us how to use the camera or the phone in a professional manner and to edit it to look like a pro. That's the main ingredient that we need tonight to hear and to educate, since the moment you have such a impressive background with filming and editing and videography and everything like that. And I think that's great, and that's the reason I brought it here, because I think
absolutely
that's something that every entrepreneur should know.
Absolutely, I can, that you're making it easy for me, Peter. This is great. So I will, at the end of the session, I will put in, I did take a little bit of an outline for tips and tricks to share with you, and I will paste it on the group chat let me ask you, would it be easier for me to give you my email and then I will send you the information, or can I paste it here in the group and you can copy it? What do you say?
Try like
Right.
that.
I will do both. How's that? I copy it in here. If it is too much text, you can copy and you can save it in your notes. And I will also give you my email. You're welcome to follow up with me, and I can send you additional resources.
Sounds good?
Absolutely.
All right, so we will do both. So let's start with what we have here then. Peter said, okay, if we get started to one other time of those who are present.
Yeah. Because
All right, so I'm just gonna, in the order of my screen, Camille, I'm coming to you. If you can just briefly tell me about you, and also besides what Peter said about learning how to use the smartphone to capture great content, tell me. It's muted.
Oh no.
Ha! I'm new to everything. What's funny is we did a challenge with Evan on Friday, the bonus challenge, and Evan Carmichael mentioned, you know, okay, do a live video for 60 seconds and post it to Instagram and tag him. And that was my first time ever doing a live. And I had to reach back out in the comment section and say, how do you tag? I was so confused. I didn't know what in the world I was doing. So not knowing how to really angle anything. When I say I'm a novice to this whole thing, I'm a novice to this whole thing. So even thinking about editing, all lighting, all that stuff, yeah. So that's where I'm at on this journey.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing.
No problem.
And then, hi, Victoria.
Hello, how are you?
Fantastic.
Okay, what am I supposed to respond to? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah,
Okay, let me explain. I had COVID and I'm a week out and I still have a little brain fog. So if I'm asking you to repeat it, it's not because I'm not listening. It's just this brain fog hasn't gone yet. So what was it that you wanted from me?
First of all, you're looking great. I'm glad that you're feeling so much better that you can.
Oh, thank you.
And by any means, I do not, please feel free to ask me at any point. If you want me to repeat something, I had a little bit of coffee too late, so I get to speak faster and my accent gets thicker and harder to understand. So do not shy away. But go ahead and tell me a little bit about you and what you would like to receive from this session.
Okay, I'm Victoria Finch, the Heart Healer, and I help coaches, speakers, and entrepreneurs feel more confident, feel better connected, and feel more content. And I think, are we talking branding? I'm not really sure. I'm at a place right now is really getting more copy because I'm going to be doing more ads and that type of thing. Video is really important. Lighting is important. Do some photography. So I'm kind of okay there, but every time I talk to someone, I learn more and more. So please, please, please share video tips and that type of thing. And I'm anxious to hear what you're going to tell us, because Peter put you on a call. So I am sure that whatever you tell us will be much, much appreciated and needed.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Victoria. Hello, Michelangelo.
Hi, how are you, Roman? How's your day going?
So far, great. Excited.
That's awesome. Absolutely. So the main thing I'm looking to get out of this, Roman, is pushing out content. Is kind of tough. I do it with my iPhone, as much as I can, just do like a little, Instagram there. I'm building my Instagram basically from political stuff, but also now really business stuff, because I want to take off in the business environment, business world, and I have a real connection to that industry, sticking by it. You're young-minded, young person, 21 years old. So what is the best thing that you recommend for the lowest cost to get something not only put out together, but put out together in a professional type of manner?
You got it. I got you covered, buddy.
That's what I'm looking for today. I
All right,
appreciate you coming on here and giving us value.
My pleasure. Hi, Susan.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Hi, Roman. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Oh, you guys
Great.
are great.
Sorry, it's getting dark where I am. I'm trying to squeeze in my walk after 8 hours of watching Evan Pagan. So,
Wow.
I come out of years in technology, publishing, marketing, and such. I'm not a video expert. I would love your principles or step-by-step that you'd like to share as far as how to present ourselves. I'm a wordsmith, but it's not about words anymore so much. And so I'd love to hear what you have to say. Also, I'm kind of curious, you know, I think a lot of us as coaches have a tendency to want things to be perfect. And that kind of, you know, we need imperfect action. I'm a believer in that. So I don't think we're looking for perfection in how we appear, but I'd like to know what's like the, I don't like the word minimum, but what you really expect for us to concentrate on, would like to see us concentrate on so that we look polished.
Concentrate, focus. Thank you so much for sharing. Appreciate it.
Sure, thank you.
All right, I will take two more. I'm picking up some general themes here so that we can get started. I will do it at random. So I would say Susie and also Eugenia, if you want to jump in. Hi, Susie.
Hi, Roman. How are you?
Great, thank you.
I am right now putting together a online course that is for real estate investing for very beginners. And so a lot of it I'm having to videotape. And as you can see, my light is hot on me. I have it down to a very low setting and it's still hot on me. And so trying to figure out in a small space how to get the light on me, but also to get it lit on my green screen so that it all works, because the green screen needs light, I need light, but this light is a little too bright. It's shining on my face and and it bothers my eyes after a while. So if you can give us, when you're talking, if you can give us a few technical tips as well as all the other stuff, I would really appreciate that.
You got it. Awesome. I'm so excited about this. I have some golden gems for all of you. All right, let's do one more. Thank you so much for sharing, Susie.
Mm-hmm.
Eugenia. Hi.
Hi, Roman.
Hi.
Nice meeting you. Thank you for coming and share your precious time with us. I will really appreciate everything you have to say about video and, you know, to improve your business. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for sharing. It's again, guys, you have given me what an incredible warm welcome. This is amazing. I feel like right at home talking to my friends in my living room, literally and figuratively. So thank you so much for being so kind. I am going to get straight to it. And then, so I'm just going to give you the bottom line of what you need to do to get the best possible quality video. And then once we take care of that, then we can unpack and we answer questions, and I will try to do my best to address some of the things that you shared with me. So from top to bottom, some of the things that came up was about confidence. So tips on how to produce as professional as possible video content, pushing out content. What I picked up from that was frequently productions that are frequent. Production costs to be as low as possible. Also talking about publishing marketing was something that I picked up as well. So using videos as part of the marketing strategy. So not just engaging in content communication or entertaining, but marketing. The other ones was and how to stay focused on themes. And also we have an online course and some tips on how to manage and operate lights. All right, so I will start with that. And I will also talk about audio and the composition, which everything will be covered into that. Now, very briefly, I assume that you probably read a little bit about me, but if not, in case that you're clueless who this guy is, I will tell you just very quickly who I am and what I do. So I started working in film, in movies in 2001. And I am a very, very curious person. And I go all in my curiosity. Working in films have given me really, really unique opportunities to travel all over the world. I have had unique opportunities to use my skills as a storyteller to help non-for-profits and charities internationally and domestically to engage with their community. I have also directed and produced commercials and many music videos. I've worked in about 17 movies and combined like over 50 award nominations or awards. So I've worked with micro to no budget whatsoever to $100 million in productions for a trilogy that I was producing and directing. So that kind of gives a little bit. Something that I'm doing right now is that I am also doing an online course. So I have some great tips for you, Susie. And I just completed 2 online courses. And I have done online courses before that are now being used in over 160 universities across the United States. That course in particular, I was assigned to it when President Obama left the office. He signed the College Campus Safe Act, which meant for all universities and colleges and community colleges to train students, faculty, and staff in how to make the college campus safe from sexual harassment and also for diversity inclusion. So I have the honor of being hired by the company that complied with it, and we did it, and it is hugely popular, and I learned a lot, and it was a lot of work. So that's me in a nutshell. Onward to shooting great video for your content. Here we go. Here's how I'm going to approach to it. I pull up my notes here. First, let's talk about the visuals, composition, how to light it, and how to frame the shots. I will focus specifically on your smartphone, but these tips also apply for higher end camera. So I'm literally going to give you, I'm going to borrow information from things that I've experienced on the field, working in high-end films and also doing work for a non-for-profit. And so I will give you things that have an emotional impact on your audience. So things for you to consider to do and things for you to consider not to do, so that you understand the emotional, the unspoken message that how you film something is perceived by your audience. So you could be saying something verbally, but the composition and the lighting of your video can send a completely different message that may or may not support what you are trying to communicate. So I would do that first, and then we talk about the audio if we have time, but at least the picture. Sounds good? All right, here we go.
Fair enough.
So smartphones nowadays are like, I just upgraded. Let me show you. This is my new iPhone 12 Pro Max. Now, I had the 11 Pro Max prior to that, and I keep upgrading the iPhone. I'm kind of an Apple junkie. I used to work for Apple. But here's the point that I'm about to make. This is not a product placement, but these cameras, and specifically this one, if you can make an investment to upgrade, this device I have is quite competitive with my professional equipment. It has its limitation, but its capability is going to put you right on the game. Now, if you have an older generation iPhone or Android device, you can still get great picture. But if you have it within you to upgrade, I highly recommend it. That's the tip number one. Tip number two, when it comes to framing the shots, this is, guys, if you're gonna walk away with this one thing out of the entire course, take this one away with you. When it comes to framing the shot, and I'm going to play with my computer to make a point here, to engage for business specifically, people connect with you as an entrepreneur, perhaps more so than the message that you're sending. I would say it a little differently. When you are creating a video content as a business person, as an entrepreneur, and you have a niche demographic, a market that you would like to persuade to buy a product or service from you, this specific kind of communication and video is more communication, is more personal. In other words, It is very, very important that when you frame the shot, it is at eye level. And here's what I mean by that and what I do mean by it. Right now I'm sitting on a couch in my office in the basement in my house, and I'm going to tilt the camera and pretend that I'm doing a selfie and that I'm looking down on it, meaning that I'm holding the phone a little higher. Now, here's what this does psychologically. When you frame a video that the camera angle is coming from a little higher perspective and it's causing you to look upward to the lens, the viewer, in other words, your target audience, is going to perceive you as inferior. So if you're filming a video and you're excited and you want to communicate to them that you have this great tip on real estate or about financial freedom, or you have you want to make a reference for a great book that you read, and you have the camera at a higher angle, regardless of how passionate you are and how much you believe in the content, by having the camera angle a little bit higher, by default, the viewer may not be aware of it. Subconsciously, they're going to perceive themselves as superior and you as inferior. They will hear you and they will know that you're passionate about the content, but they will not engage emotionally the way that you would desire them in order to lead them to take action. Now, here's the other part of it. If, on the other hand, I'm going to tilt the camera, if you can see me, I'm going to hold it higher and I'm going to kind of stand on it. If the camera is a little lower, I'm going to hold down here and I point down, then it does the opposite. Now, what that happens is that it sends the other message. Then you look intimidating to them and it might be a shame trigger. It is fascinating because most people will not even become aware that they have in those feelings. Here's one example what I mean by this. Let's say that you are walking, kind of like Susan is right now. She's walking around the neighborhood, and let's say that Susan sees a beautiful house. She was like, well, that is my dream home. Her eyes will dilate, her heartbeat will start increasing. Before her brain says, that house is your dream house, physiologically, her brain has already engaged full on in recognizing with the dopamine trigger that that is a beautiful and aesthetic pleasing house. Now, the same thing happens with a beautiful person, or if you go to a restaurant, they serve you gourmet food. It may not taste good, but the appearance of it could be so beautiful, the presentation, that you will actually have a bias to enjoy that meal. You see somebody beautiful, same thing. Before you think that person is attractive, your body has already engaged with it. So at a subliminal level, I should say not subliminally, but unaware of it subconsciously, when people see, again, this is specifically about business. In movies, this has a tactic and has a purpose. And you will engage and respond emotionally in a movie. And we tell you exactly how to provoke an emotion on you without you being aware of it or recognizing it. That is all part of a neural cocktail. So just keep those things in mind. So what then is the proper, am I talking too fast? Are you guys with me? Okay. Yes. Again, so I'm giving you what I believe is quite possibly and nobody ever taught that to me. I just learned it because I have read almost 200 books on neuroscience and psychology, because I am always refining my techniques to respect people, not to manipulate it. And I work with a lot of very sensitive subjects, such as human trafficking. Right now I'm directing a series of video partnering with 17 psychologists to help people who have been abused sexually to overcome trauma from sexual abuse. And and all of these things play a huge role in how I take care of the people watching my content. With that said, when it comes to business, the best frame, and I highly encourage you so that if you find yourself putting the camera a little bit too high or a little bit too low, to remember that you are sending an emotional cue to the viewer that may or may not complement the message you're trying to send. So the right way to do it, eye level, look straight into the lens. If you are filming where you see the camera in front of you, make sure that you're looking directly at the lens, not at your image. Make sure that you are, so right now I'm looking at the camera. So all of you will imagine that I'm having eye contact with you. The truth is that I don't see anybody. All I'm looking is staring at the lens. But if I look down at the screens, now you can probably see that my eyes already has a disconnect because I'm looking around to see who to look at in the screens. Are you with me? Okay, so that is a priceless tip that you're probably not gonna get anywhere else. And it's something that I have become aware through doing sensitive work. And it really, really, really does have an emotional impact in your content. Another tip on shooting video for business. Unless you are trying to sell, all right, I see here we have Janetzi. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it properly. In her thumbnail, she looks like she's a fit person, probably working in the fitness industry, maybe not. And but let's say that I'm just going to make this up, that she's a fitness trainer. And so for her, in certain scenarios, some action movement on the camera may do well because it can excite excitement. And you want to fire up people so that they can sign up for the membership or hire her. In your case, if you're doing real estate or finance or another market where it's more of a suit and tie industry, you want your shot to be steady. So a couple of tips: get a tripod. You can get something on Amazon for super cheap. Smartphones are not heavy. And so for like 10, 15, 20 bucks, you can get a tripod and it will do the job. You can have the shot to be level to your eye and to be steady so there's no movement. And something else about framing the shot. So that was the second tip, tripod. If you don't have a tripod and you're on the go and you feel inspired and you want to connect with your viewers, I think it was Michelangelo who was mentioning something about Instagram. One of the ways how you can get a steady shot, you can lean against a door frame. If you're outside, lean against a tree. You don't have to frame it with the tree to be in it. But the thing is to put your body weight against something, your shoulder. Take a deep breath, control your breathing, hold the shot steady so that part of your arm is against a solid surface. Frame the shot so it's not too high or too low. At eye level, look into the lens, and you can get a steady shot by resting your body weight against a solid surface. Now, another tip as it relates to, notice that we have not yet talked about lighting. This is all about the composition. And these little things that I'm sharing with you is going to, they're so subtle, but they're so powerful that it's really going to set you apart. That's what sets your profession from an amateur, because the professional puts in the effort to make sure that the frame is proper and that the shot is steady. Again, we're talking about business specifically. So now I said the word frame. What did I mean by that? I'm going to move my camera to make a case again. There is, if you're writing things down, write this and do a Google search. Rule of thirds. I'll type in the messages. So you can do a rule of thirds for video production, for framing, and you will learn more about it. But for now, I'll give you the very basic. So if you are on the phone or you're not looking at the camera, you might miss this. If you have 30 seconds to look at the screen and see me, I'm going to model something really, really important. Even people in Hollywood can get this wrong at times. Professional can get it wrong. So I want to teach it to you now. Here we go. What is the rule of thirds? If you were to imagine, I'm going to use my cell phone charger here to give you a visual. Bear with me for 1 second. Peter, how are we doing with time? Great. All right, here we go. So I'm going to use my cell phone charger to give you, so I'm engaging it for 1 second, all right? Imagine this is an imaginary line. I'm going to move this. So in your camera, when you frame it in your phone, you want to have your eyes level into the upper third of the phone. And here's what I mean by that. Give me 1 second and this will make sense. So imaginary line, so pretend. Here are my eyes. So I'm going to divide the screen into 3 halves. The upper half, the middle half, and the lower half. Do you see that? So I'm putting 2 lines in between. 1 line, 2 lines. So the top line divides my eye and my forehead to the top of the screen. Then there's the middle, which is kind of between my eyes and my upper torso, and then also from my upper torso to the bottom of the screen. Also, the vertically, if I divide it into three columns, on the left, I just pretend here. So this is line number 1. So that's the left side of the screen. If you notice that I am in the middle right now, if I move it over here, now we have 3 columns, one to the right and one to the left, and of course, one in the middle. All right, so here we go. Are you with me so far?
100%.
Okay, again, when you look it up on the internet, you will learn more about it. But this is another thing that I highly, highly encourage you to experiment with it beforehand. So here's where this makes sense. And it's also going to help you prevent the improper angle from tilting the camera up or down. The proper framing for you when doing a video for business is to have your eyes and also what is called the nose room in either direction, to the left or to the right of the screen. Not always straight, as we are right now doing a Zoom, so this is an exception. But when doing video, to give a perception of communication, in the upper, so again, 3 columns vertical and 3 columns horizontals. So right here, this is my eyes. So I'm going to move myself over here if I was doing a video, and I'm going to tilt my head this way a little bit so that my eyes and my nose is pointing to the wider 2/3 of the screen. Does that make sense? So the proper shot, if I was doing a video for business, I would position myself right here, and then I will tilt my face a little bit this way. I could be looking at the camera right here, and this will give people, that is a pro tip. It may not feel natural. All I would say, just trust me on this one. It is going to set you apart from the amateur to the professional. If you look at a documentary, if you look at a movie when there's doing dialogue, seldom, unless it is a very artistic style, unless an intention for it, but rarely you're gonna see what you're seeing. Right now, I'm facing to you straight. That's not the case. I mean, you can talk to people directly like that, and that's okay. But if you really want to have just that 1 degree of professionalism, put yourself on one of the dots between the vertical and the horizontal columns, and your nose pointing into the wider space. Not too much, just a little bit. It could be also the other way. Yes.
To pinpoint on this one, where are the eyes? They're gonna look to the camera, or we're gonna still looking that way? We're not gonna look to the camera.
That is an excellent question. So I'm going to repeat it. So Peter's asking, where are your eyes looking? To the camera or? So let me give, could be both, either or. When do you look at the lens? When you're speaking directly to the audience. If you are speaking to somebody, you're delivering a message from you to them, you look at the lens. However, if you are doing a video as if you're being interviewed, let's say that you're answering questions, then you look off camera. If you are being interviewed, or let's say that you're interviewing somebody for your video, you would like them to look off camera, unless you want them directly to speak to. If you saw the debate between Trump and Biden, the first debate, you will notice that Biden, at some point, like, he just went directly into the lens and he connected with people. And so just that, if you don't know what I'm referring to, that would be a good example. Do a quick Google search, YouTube, Trump, Biden debate, and you can skim through it until you find Biden directly looking at the camera. And you will experience for yourself how you respond to it, because you will engage emotionally, whether you're aware of it or not, and then just write it down. How did you feel when you noticed that? Did you feel connected, disconnected? And how was the transition like? And that is a great example. If you look at a movie, any movie that you watch or TV show next time, you will see the rule of thirds being applied. So when do you, again, to answer Peter's question, when do you look at the camera, at the lens? When you are directly speaking to them. When do you look off the camera? When you are being interviewed or interviewing somebody. Make sense? All right. So far, in summary, we've talked about a number. How much time do we have left so that I know how to manage the rest of my tips?
Well, let me put it this way. I think everybody here that is here, they want to hear the secrets. So I don't think anybody here minds that we're gonna start a little over. It's up to your time only, which is the most important. As long as you know you're okay with staying a little bit more than 9 o'clock, go ahead and do it. You know?
All right. Well, let me thank you. Let me transition to the lighting. Susie, let me show. Susie brought up they were great questions, but I would like to address hers because it applies to all of you, regardless of your marketplace. Lighting is video. Without lighting, there is no video. And much like the camera angle that I shared with you, lighting also does send an emotional cue. Now, boy, all right, let me consolidate my thoughts because we could spend like 2 days talking about lighting here. But for the sake of the time right now, I will try my very best to give you a couple of golden nuggets for you to remember when you're doing videos for your business using your smartphone. Again, these tips also work for professional cameras, and but I'm simplifying for the smartphones because it will make you go and grind right away. So let's talk about artificial lighting first, and then we talk about natural lighting. In the artificial lighting, you have, of course, the ceiling lights. You have a lamp on your desk. You can purchase a tripod and an LED light from Amazon. There's tons of lighting that you can find yourself on the internet. A quick search for cheap, again, to address how can we do this for the least expensive. If you go to Amazon, cheap lights for video, sorted by price or by rating. So I would go by rating and then get the least expensive one of them. The truth is that any sort of lighting will do because you can never have enough lighting for videos. So that's my first tip. If you don't have anything, sell something on sell some old clothes on Facebook Marketplace and buy yourself $40 worth of lighting, and it already is going to set you apart. So that's my first tip. Take action. It's going to be worth it. Now that you have some light, like right now, I actually have a light, and I won't turn it because it's like, but actually you can see the shadow right behind me as I move it. Also, you can see the shadow coming from a little bit on the side of my, underneath my chin here. And that's because I have only one source of light and it's coming from that direction and it's a little bit higher. So when it comes to lighting for business, you want to avoid harsh shadows. If you have lights, let's say if you have available lights, it's your ceiling, and the light is, if you notice you're having harsh shadows, kind of like what I have right now, I wouldn't shoot a video for business with this kind of shadow. It's just already something that, I mean, it will work, don't get me wrong, but we're shooting for professionalism, setting you apart. How to diffuse lighting if it is too harsh? The simplest way to say, go to your printer. I don't have a sheet of paper. Get a white sheet of paper, get some tape, and put it right in front of it in the direction that is hitting you, and that will diffuse it. Assuming that the lighting is not hot and you're not going to set the paper on fire. So just let me just, it's a little safety disclaimer here. So, but safely acknowledge the temperature of your lighting source. There you go. I love it. She's taking action. You got it, Susie. But that will diffuse, and smartphones will automatically adjust the exposure, meaning that how the brightness of your picture is going to be adjusted automatically by your smartphone. Now, so if you have all the lights, again, to diffuse it, if you don't have a white piece of paper, get a white piece of cloth, and that will also diffuse it, and it's going to make it softer, where you can still see yourself, but these harsh shadows that you see are going to fade away. They will still be there, but they will not be as contrasting. Now, when it comes to natural lights, if you are doing something during the day, position yourself against a window, not directly with the window behind you, but laterally, so that you take advantage of the light that bounces off the light coming into your space, assuming that you don't have like a color wall that will in turn bounce back a light with a hue, whether it's pink or blue, depending on. So if you have a natural color wall, take advantage of the light that bounces from it, frame the shot so that you can see just this much, so you don't have to rearrange the composition. So that is a great tip. Let me follow up something else. I just did this over here. It was not my intention. I'm improvising here with you. But this is quite possibly the most expensive shot, the most expensive looking shot, and the least expensive shot to make. Let me say that again. The wider, the more you see, the more expensive it is, because you have to light the space and you have to arrange it to make it look nice. And because everything that shows up on that video is going to send a message to your viewer. If what is in your background does not complement your message, if it does not relate to the audience that you're speaking to, for instance, Michelangelo works in finance. If he's going in, if he's moving around the space and shooting in a background that may not communicate the culture of his audience, the safest way to do it is to frame the shot close up, right up here, just above your shed, around your collarbone, and just a little, just enough above your head. That shot, it is intimate, it is powerful, it is least likely to distract people from the environment, but it does not cost as much. It is easier to light, and people will respect it. But here's the big but. You make sure to work on your communication, because they're going to be listening to every single word. It just amplifies your message. If you have ums or buts, make sure to work on your linguistic, because this close-up, as professional as it is going to highlight your imperfection, specifically including your language. So make sure that your message is polished and that you have rehearsed your message, and that you have the least amount of awkward pauses. Now, also, when it comes to natural lighting, digital equipment, even for professional ones, unless you're shooting something with a $65,000 camera, you really want to avoid high contrast environment. If you're outside, you can frame the shot in such a way that you don't have, if you're going to be in the shadow, film everything in the shadow. If you're going to be in the sun, film everything in the sun, because digital cameras, especially smartphones, surprisingly, the iPhone 12 Pro Max does I'm telling you, this thing is ridiculous. I am astonished at what Apple has been able to manage with this device. This is an exception to other smartphones when it comes to shooting great video in high contrast environments where you have high brightness and high shadows, which causes a lot of contrast. So for instance, if you're shooting against the window, actually one example here is if you look at the thumbnail for T&M Numa. I'm sorry that I'm picking you, but I'm just using this as an example. And also Eugenia, they both have in their thumbnails, they have beautiful photographs. Their skin looks beautiful, their hair looks nice, you can see them. But their background, in the case of T&M, there's no details, it's blown away because the camera is adjusting the exposure for her and is completely disregarding the background. And the same thing goes for Eugenia, where the sky is blown out. So how to avoid this on professional videos? Find yourself, if T&M was to step out of the car, then she will be with the same lighting as the environment with her, and the camera will do a better job by creating an exposure that is easier on the eye. So that was another tip on composition. I will share a couple of things on audio, and then I will do Q&A. Sounds good?
Sounds awesome.
All right, and then I will send you, let me put in my email in the chat here so that I can send you the additional tips and tricks and a couple of things on psychology and that I think you will find helpful to keep handy for your videos. So I'm putting in my emails here. You're welcome to contact me. Yeah, okay, I spelled it right. So audio, again, same thing. If you're shooting with a microphone built into your smartphone, keep it close to you. When you're framing a shot, keep it as close as possible to you. And I'm holding it with one hand. In this case, the microphone is right here. By protecting the back of the microphone, when I speak, the sound are being bounced right back from the hand. Now, if I hold it on the other hand like this and the microphone is exposed, I'm no longer protecting it from the ambience that is on that side. So let's say if I am outside and there is traffic on the side, this is all going to pick it up. But if I do this, if I hold it with my left hand in this case, or if my right hand, I can just flip it over. Now I'm protecting it. So the microphone is no longer here, but it's inside. All it does, it creates a cup to, and it diffuses the sound that is in the opposite direction of your lips when you're speaking into it. So be aware of the environment. If you're doing a video outside, be aware if you're going to be doing frequently, ask yourself, is there traffic? When is the least amount of traffic? And in the case for you, Susie, where you're probably doing your online courses in a controlled environment and indoor, then you might want to schedule your shoots when there is not as heavy traffic, or maybe when there's not an air traffic, because flights can also cause an interruption. If you live anywhere near where there's a hospital, or she has a lapel microphone, awesome. And so what she has actually is a lapel microphone that does an incredible job at isolating all the ambient sounds, and it does a great job at picking directly what's in the direction of the microphone. And that can plug into the camera, phone or professional one. So another tip on sound is room tone. If you're doing it indoors, be aware, is there an echo? When I speak, does the sound reverberate? So you can record yourself, listen back to it. And if you're not sure what it is you're looking for echo, then lay down blankets or get yourself in the closet. Well, that is if you're doing audio only. Never mind, we're not doing podcasts here, we're doing video. So, but one of the ways to diffuse sound is to lay down blankets on the floor. And that, if you don't have carpet, that is, of course, wooden floors are not very good for that. You can also hang things on the wall, and that will also diffuse the echo in the room and will give you a cleaner sound. All right, so that's all I'm gonna say for tips on sound and lights and composition. I will take questions. Again, I have so many material that I could talk to you all night. Hopefully that was helpful to you, but go ahead and ask away.
So let's go. Who has questions, please raise your hand, and let's get some questions ongoing, so we get the best of it. We have to take the advantage. We have Mr. Román here, and we'll get our questions, our, I will say, unclarity to be answered. So in that way, we have everything clear. And next time when we make a video, it's going to be impactful for our customers. And Mr. Michelangelo, go ahead.
Absolutely, no, thank you. So, you did mention me a little bit there. I definitely wanted to go a little bit deeper. So like I said, I'm in the financial services space. I have an emotional connection to this space, and the reason why I joined it, and I feel like that's my life's passion. But some people say like the way I talk sometimes is too fast also, and I just keep rambling. So how do I position it basically in a way where it doesn't seem like it's unsteady, the environment's like kind of leveled, and I can communicate or get my message across?
That is a great question. So you have heard feedback on that something speak too fast, and you want to know, if I understand, what is the best way to engage with your market in the financial space. Is that correct?
Right. I've also heard that I'm a good communicator as far as it being slow. So, I mean, it just really depends on how I deliver it, I guess.
Yeah. So let me share something about that. And this may not be what you're looking to hear, but I'm going to speak from the heart as though I'm talking to my brother. It so happens to be that like 90% of my friends are Wall Street people in Wall Street, highly successful hedge fund manager, like guys working for major banks. It's just a little bit of the crowd that I hang around with. And I tell you, these guys are fast. So speaking fast is already the language. There's no time to waste. Let's get to the point. So tip number one to answer that, again, be yourself. be yourself. For people who may criticize how whether you're speaking too fast or too slow, I don't think has anything to do with you. It's a projection. They're projecting onto you something about that. So it's a trigger to it. So I would say, unless they're speaking something to build you up, if it is just a criticism because of they feel like you're talking too fast or too slow, it's a projection about them. But in that specific market, be yourself, be confident. That is the best thing you can do. The moment that you try to modify and trust me, there's so many personality types in that industry amongst my friends as I'm looking back. Being genuine goes so far in that market, because so many people are just too busy trying to, trust me, they can spot a salesman a mile away.
Right.
Be genuine. You speak the way you speak the language of the market, which is different about the pacing and style of communication, but you have the vocabulary of the market, and you be yourself, and that's all you have to do in order to engage with that audience. You be you.
Awesome. Appreciate the feedback.
We have some questions from Danielle. How should I organize the content?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
How should I organize the content?
Oh, that is oh man, who asked that question?
Danielle.
Danielle, let me see. Danielle, oh man, that is a great question. Woo. Guys, this is gonna make or break your time. Let me share with you a practical thing that I do when it comes to organizing content. If you're writing, you want to write this down, because the thing about video is that you can archive it and you can come back to it. And in the case for you, Susie, who are doing an online course, or if anybody else who's creating a lot of content, so you don't lose your mind, here's how I do it. And this is so easy to mess up and can be so time consuming to find content, especially when you want to edit and when you want to strategically to share in different platforms or whatnot. I have a formula that works for me and I highly recommend it. First thing is that I name a specific folder for a specific category. So let's say that I'm recording this session. I'm not recording it, but I think Peter might be, I don't know, for archive purposes. But if I was recording this event, I will create a folder in my hard drive. And this folder will be within my video folders. So in my videos folder, I'll create a subfolder, I'll call it Zoom Meetings 2020. And to be more specific, I'll call it Zoom Meetings 2020 December. So that if I continue to do it again in January, for every month, I will have a folder for the content within the month. For today, I will call it V for video. I will probably put 20 for the year, and I will put a DEC, short for December. So again, V 20, DEC for December. I'm putting an underscore for the theme of this video. Let's say the theme of this video is tips on video production. So I'll call it tips. So that would be the naming convention that I will use within folders. Also, oftentimes I name my videos the same way that I name my folders. So when I put it, so if I put more content in the folder, they will have the same name, and I will add a number to organize categorically. So let's say video 1, video 2. Let's say that I do 3 meetings like this in 1 week. So I would probably name them all the same. And pardon? The same way that oh, I'm hearing an echo. Okay, that's me.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but Daniel, that was a great question. Again, I will repeat myself because this is so important for the sake of redundancy. Pick a title so that it's not too long. Abbreviate the wording, familiarize yourself, you find the format and you stick with it. All your documents, all your videos, anything that you generate digitally, even if you scan document, and you organize it based on the category and you put a date on it. Yes, visual for you. The computer already created metadata where it tells you when the file was created, when it was modified. So there's a lot of already different ways to do it. But for my sake, because I create a lot of content, as you will imagine, I do have to follow that. Otherwise, it becomes a living nightmare to find documents. Long answer, but a very, very important one. Great question. Anything else?
Yeah. So I do have a question, you know, until somebody else is gonna have more questions. Because here we have Susan Cortez. Oh, okay, Susan Cortez. Alex actually. Okay, let me tell you. I see more. Alex says, do you recommend any video editing software for beginners? Then we have Susan.
Oh, that is a great question. And if you have a Mac, it already comes with iMovie. iMovie is a sophisticated piece of editing software. It really is a great software. It has all the bells and whistles. I don't know how to pronounce the word, but it has a lot of really great features that allows you to edit and in simple ways. Yes, it has a little bit of a learning curve, but since we're talking about for beginners, that is an excellent way to do it, and it is free. If you have a Mac, if you have a PC, there is a lot of different options. I don't use a PC, so what I would recommend is do a quick Google search for top 5 free video editing applications for PC. And somebody out there has already taken the time to compare and to rate all the options out there. And you can look at those 5 options that may come up and get the one that you feel most comfortable with taking a look at. And something else about video editing software, if you're using a smartphone, iMovie is also free for the iPhone. And it is a great editing application for your smartphone. And for Androids, I am certain, although I'm not familiar, that there's something similar to it. So again, another quick online search, top 5 editing software for an Android device. And again, somebody will have taken the chance to create it for you. But the most important thing that is not a software for editing is community. And online, there's a lot of discussion groups and forums that you can join. So do a quick online search for, if you have this, let's say that if you go with iMovie, you can do an online search for iMovie editing community. And you join a group, there will be a lot of tips and tricks in there. And if you have any questions, usually what I have learned from these communities, which I tend to moderate oftentimes, is that people will jump in and help you. So if you're editing, post a question and somebody will rescue you.
Great point. Just, you know, for the people that they don't have Apple, I'm using, because I'm using on my PC, it's a VSDC, which it comes in a free version. I have the pro version, but the free version is pretty good. So it's also free. And for Android phones, I'm using InShot, which is also pretty good software for video editing, if anybody needs that one. Let me go back to the question. We have a question from Susan. And Susan, would you like to ask this question just to make sure I have the right message to it? I think she's on the
Sure. Phone. Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry. I really apologize. Thank you so much, Roman. This has been priceless information. I really appreciate it. Coincidentally enough, as I got back to my desk here, my ring light just burned out. So I'm wondering, I mean, just this moment. So I'm wondering what you might recommend as far as lighting along the lines of a ring light or something that's good for Zoom calls and Zoom recordings.
Yes. So wow, that is a great question. So the ring light, guys, is a great product. I would probably just get another one. Maybe.
May I ask you, sorry to interrupt you. May I ask you, is it normal for them to burn out after a number of hours? And do they tend to sell replacement?
Well, I have not that happened to me. I would say, is it normal? No, but you know, what I have learned with products like this is that, you know, it's made by humans and we are flawed people, and sometimes product, you know, so, but if it is fairly new to you, I would call the manufacturer and see if they can replace it, or the retail store where you may have purchased it from if it's under warranty. But they're fairly inexpensive, relatively speaking, depending on the brand. But really they just produce such a great picture. And they put a little iris, they highlight your iris, and it helps you connect with people. Great for video. So recommendations, there are kits, an alternative to ring light. So here's another tip for if you want to step up your game on video production, in video, whether it's for a Zoom meeting or for your business, if you buy a kit, right now, the lighting industry is dramatically changing and fast. There's a lot of competition, which means that for us, it's a great deal because the prices are lower. There's a lot of great products out there. So shop certainly for reviews. But if you find a kit, an LED kit, that sometimes these lights are, kid you not, no bigger than my phone. And they sometimes are battery operated, or you can plug it into an AC adapter. But the thing about them is that you can position that you can use a 3-point lighting, which is a very professional way of setting up your light. So I will give you a quick demonstration, hopefully. So I will invite you to use your imagination here. So right now I have a light coming directly in front of me in this direction. This would be called the fill light. So if you buy a 3-point light, so this is what you would do. A light at a lower position directly in front of you to fill in the space. This would be the brighter. Then you position a third lighting on the opposite side, but more lateral, which is going to fill the negative space, which would be the darkest side of my face. And then the third lighting, if you have the space, it will go on the back. And the idea of this light is to cast from above and behind me, and it will highlight the back of my hair and my shoulder. And this creates a depth. Yep. This creates a depth and separation. Guys, if you really, really want, I mean, you can get something like this for less than $100 at the least. But if you, then you, of course, you can go up to like a couple of $1,000 if you want to go there. But a decent light kit, you can find it for no more than $200, or probably for a lot less than that too, less than $100. But they will come with a stands, with a tripod, and you can adjust the heights and the positions. So you can freely move around the space. And that would be alternative to a ring light, is to get a lighting kit with 3 lights that you can position. And again, if you do a quick online search for 3-point lighting, that you will learn the setup is super simple. Don't overthink it. Get yourself in front of it. Have fun with it. It's really fun to play with.
And thank you. Somehow the third light is higher than the camera, right?
Yes, it should be off camera altogether. Like in my case, I have a wall directly in front of me. So probably I would just get duct tape, and instead of putting it on the stand, I would just put it right on the ceiling and just have it pointing downward.
Great. I also like to ask you, thank you. I'd like to ask you a quick question about what you said earlier about where you position yourself versus the window, because I wasn't quite clear on where you're saying that you are looking at the sunlight, or you were perpendicular to it. I couldn't quite understand that.
Either or. So if this was a sunny time, so I have a window right here in front, actually right here next to me.
Fine. Okay.
If I move this, I'm going to destroy my setup. But if the window, like definitely there's a window right behind me. If the sun is setting, this will be bright. So this would not produce, you will see a silhouette of me, because they will try to adjust for that. Or if I adjust for me, then it's going to be like I'm in heaven, because it will be so blown out white.
Right.
What I meant by that is that I will avoid being directly behind, or literally just avoid showing the window altogether, but instead take advantage of the lights coming through the window. So if the lighting is coming through here, I would just probably position the camera. I would switch. I would just replace it altogether. So I would be where my computer is, and I would put so that the light can hit me. If the lighting is too bright, then I will find a position just off to the side where I can still get hit, not by the light, but by the bouncing of the light.
Mm.
And that will give me a softer look. So instead of getting the high contrast of the light, I just get a softer look just by being just off of it. Not too far, but just enough where I'm not directly in front of it.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Did that answer that question?
Sure did.
Yeah. So yeah, the best thing is to just play with it, and you will see it. You will see it, and you will know what looks best.
Great. Experiment, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks so much.
You're very welcome.
Let me see here if I have any other questions here. I have a few more.
Roman?
I want to.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I have one more. Do you have any examples that we can take a look at, maybe on social media or whatever your outlets you have, of this type of 3 ring light concept?
Let me see if I can find something here that I can put it in the group just right now.
That'll be cool.
And just to keep the questions rolling to you until you're gonna do that, I just wonder if you have like any specific brands that you use and you will recommend for, you know, different levels, like from lighting to camera to maybe I would say literally like the idea itself of maybe if you do like presentation or Zoom types, what kind of camera, like a regular camera to use?
If it comes down to, oh man, this gets really
deep.
This is an interesting question because there's no answer to it. All the answers are correct and no answer fits. There's not a one size fits all. There's so many variables to it. Some cameras, they all produce beautiful picture. The biggest thing is the application. And they can get quite high technical. I would just probably ask, I begin by asking, what is the main purpose for creating this content? And if it is for social media, honestly, having recently been playing with this and with my experience working professional and anything, I would just get the iPhone 12 Pro. Not like advocating for Apple. It's that the thing is so versatile and the picture is really ridiculous. It's actually right in par with my professional. It has some limitation, but it has some great pros. So, but this is not I mean, they're marketing as a professional camera and I can see why. There is a video actually comparing the picture of this camera, the video of this camera against the $50,000 camera setup. And honestly, it's really, really hard to tell the difference. You can tell it, it's very subtle, but that just kind of gives you an idea of where it is that I'm coming from. But there's a lot of digital SLR that gives you shallow depth of field, which means that the background becomes blurry. And a lot of these cameras have a lot of automated features. I don't recommend shooting professional video with anything automated. It's just, you have a professional camera doing amateur work if you're doing automatically, and I'll just leave it at that. It requires some technical knowledge to fine tune it. If that is the case, if you're gonna be doing that, I would probably be really just calling an intern. There's a lot of guys and girls out who are looking for jobs or opportunity to learn, and give them an opportunity to serve you, learn from them. They will do the content for you. They will do it for the experience. And you write them a thank you card and a gift card to like Chipotle or something. And you will get something that is worth it. A lot of these people who shoot on professional camera, I'm sorry, Peter, because this is not quite the answer that you wanted, but speaking of the community here, is that it has a learning curve. It really does have a learning curve. I don't want to overcomplicate it, but you are likely, unless you want to dedicate a lot of time to learn the technicality, I would say find somebody who to do it for you, and get one of the latest smartphones, whether Apple or Android, because I know the Android also creates some stunning pictures, and they will serve you really, really well for digital content to push on social media, on the website. Now, in the case of Susie, who is doing an online course, then I would look more seriously into a digital SLR setup. And which one do I recommend? Because some of the newest ones are so expensive. The cameras that were out 5 years ago, they still produce a stunning picture, and you can get a crazily discounted price for a professional camera that still, I mean, you could not tell the difference. Few people can. The different variables are mostly technical. And for the visual ones, I would say go for something that was a couple of years old. So that, again, thinking of value price here. And so you get something at lower cost, but still get it like a professional picture. I would consult, what I would do in this case is engage in discussion groups, look for magazines that or online articles that compare the top 10 best cameras, and learn and see so you can make a decision. But yeah, it's a hard question to answer. I have my favorite. I like Canon. I also like Panasonic. They produce a great picture. I've worked with Panasonic cameras for a long time. I know them like the back of my hand. I don't have to, I can buy a camera out of the box and start filming. I don't have to study because I know how they work. And while other companies like Sony, I'm not too familiar with it, require more time for me to familiarize with the menus and settings and the body and such. So, yeah.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
When you use we're talking about shooting video from a phone. So to use the rule of thirds, you're either going to have to be further back, correct? Or something, because you're going to be out of frame.
The rule of thirds applies to regardless of the composition, regardless of the distance from the subject matter to the lens.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are full body shot, the rule of thirds still will apply to it. And if you are a medium shot, meaning by full body shot where you can see from the floor to above your head, if it is a close-up with just this, or if it is a medium shot, which is, let's say, like from your waist all the way to above, it will still apply.
My question though is, because you were talking about on the side, when you take a video from, I don't know about the iPhone Pro, I still have an 8. In fact, I was looking at the 12 Pro. I'm probably going to update this week. But typically you just have the narrow view. You don't have the full screen. So how does that work with the cell phone? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
You don't have the space that you would have regularly.
That is
like
question. I want to show that great question. So
that's why I'm confused.
Yeah, here's how I do it. A lot of people will do like a selfie. Like, I'm going to turn on my camera right now. Great question. So the camera's on. So I can see myself and I can frame the shot like this. What I do is actually not use the front facing camera that is on this side. This camera, for more fun, this camera tend to have a lower resolution. This one a higher end. So what I tend to do is that I set it up first and I position it somewhere. I use a tripod or put it in a place on a shelf, prop it up with books or a glass of water that has some weight, and I'll set it up. I press the record. I'll get in front of it. I would speak to it and I would position myself different length because I cannot see it. And I come back and I look to see, and I will mark the spot. Once I find, so again, using this camera, the one that you normally use to take pictures, not the one for video chat, that camera will give you higher picture quality, but you can set it up and position yourself accordingly. It will take some time to find the right angle and the right position.
My question is, and it could be that I'm doing it wrong, but when I try to hold it like this, the problem I have when I post it on social media, it's upside down, it's sideways. And typically this is what social media holding it this way. So that's why I'm asking, since that's narrow, how you could do your rule of thirds. Also, did you know on your iWatch, just to make this easier for you, there's the cameras on your iWatch. So that will make it easier for you to, because that's what I do when I set my camera up. I will use my iWatch so I know where to stand.
Yeah. I keep forgetting to use this. Thank you. I literally keep forgetting that, and I know this.
It's a wonderful feature. It's a wonderful feature. It really is. Yes. So I guess that's really what my question is that
yep.
Because posting on social media, it usually won't take it this way, but maybe, I don't know, maybe it will if it, because I use a front facing, but maybe with the rear facing camera, it will. Is that what you're saying?
So
I'm sorry, I'm losing it right now. I'm trying to hang in here.
I got you. That is the $1 million questions, man. That is it. All right, let me address it because this is such an important question. Vertical or horizontal? Instagram and Facebook stories, vertical. Snapchat, vertical. Now, Instagram TV, horizontal. YouTube, horizontal. YouTube, Facebook Next Story, also horizontal. So which one should you do? It depends on who and what your intentions is. If you're doing it for YouTube, or if you're doing an online course, definitely horizontal. If you shoot something vertical, that for a story on Instagram, but then you intend to use it in other platforms, you are going to end up on, as Victoria was talking about, with black bars on either side to fit it in, unless you zoom in to scale it, and it's going to be blurry and low quality. So ask yourself first, what is my intention in creating the video? Is it for story or is it for general publication on the internet? If that is for general, you do not want to shoot vertical, and definitely shoot horizontal. Yeah, because you're talking about different aspect ratio, and I will get into the technicality of it. But if you really want to play safe and you're not going to be doing a lot of stories, shoot horizontal at all times. Yeah.
Ask another question.
Yes.
Oh, you've seen many a course. I've seen many a course. Okay, picture horizontal with the talking head is over here and the PowerPoint or the graphics, the words are over here and the 2/3 over here. What does that take to do that?
An editing software. So that's where iMovie comes in place, or they will call it picture in picture. And Peter, what was the software that you mentioned on the use on your PC?
For the PC, it
Yes.
is VSDC. V like in Victor, S like in Sam, D like in David, and C like in cat.
Got it. Well, you know, so yeah, a lot of, that's the thing about video editing software, is that it gives you a lot of flexibility to do special effects, where you can split the screens with not just two visuals like a talking head and a PowerPoint or a slide or a photograph, but you can split it like in 5 different visuals if you want to, not too complicated. But what is required to accomplish that is an editing software.
Can I give a funny suggestion?
Does Zoom
I
let
use
you do that?
Camtasia, which is really good too. I do that effect in Camtasia.
Does Zoom, I thought Zoom let you do that if you just hit record. It'll have your PowerPoint and then it'll have you if you just hit.
For
if you-
presentation,
Yeah,
yes.
when you
Zoom
do share
will do that.
screen.
Now I pay for Zoom, so it doesn't say Zoom at the bottom. But I think Zoom lets you do that as well. You just record it. You pull up your PowerPoint and you record it. And you can, under view, you can say show speaker, so it'll show the PowerPoint and the speaker.
There you have it.
Susan, you're muted.
Yeah, you're.
I'm sorry, I was trying to keep.
There you go.
Thank you. You're absolutely right. And you can, I realize you can also with Zoom, you can choose side by side, and then you can adjust the vertical line between the two. So that might work just fine for that purpose.
Yeah, you might be able to do it on the free version. It'll just say Zoom. In fact, you can. I just take off the Zoom. I don't know. It's not that expensive.
Yeah, that's a good question.
There are different software, yeah, Camtasia and Zoom, and but I will say a funny suggestion is to use TikTok, the social media. They have very interesting and beautiful green screens that you can use it and personalize it how you want it. And you can use that one, film it. Let's say like you want a 5-minute thing, but you want to have the presentation in your background. It takes you 30 seconds to do it. Literally, like you go there you select to start a new video, and you select to have a green screen, and you're in. And you can have like a presentation like this one, to have like a small image with the video that you want to talk about. Like for instance, you see somebody that has a video about financials and you want to talk about it. You can put in that small video the video and you talk about that video. It doesn't take you any software, it's free. And you just download the video. Just a small trick to kind of avoid software and complicate, I would say, paths. Do it. And I think it's the easy way. It's just surprising me how well it works, and it's very, I would say, like Zoom. I think is, you know, like, and of course it's the lighting here also. But if I'm doing the same lighting and I'm using TikTok, I'm gonna keep messing up that name. But it literally, like on the effects, it doesn't give you any light. It's perfectly clean and it's the same light. but it's a better software inside, and I think it's worthwhile to play with. Just a small thing. Do you try, Roman? Have you tried that?
I'm so sorry to cut people off. That happens all the time. I'm so sorry. I was going to ask Peter. I'm procrastinating on TikTok. So how does that? I mean, like I did one story, didn't really get much views, and I noticed on that platform specifically, you have to be creative and kind of resonate. It's weird how I could go into discussing how, you know, it's just I'm a little off touch with even though I know. So what do you recommend for you know what you were talking about? All I heard was TikTok. I didn't get to connect what you were saying to actually TikTok.
You ask me? Just do it.
Yeah, you just do it.
Just
Awesome.
do it. That's all you do. You see, like, you see, like, the green screen is getting in, but this one here, it has like 9 or 10 different, no, actually 12 different green screens. You can maximize the way you want it, presentation with everything. Have you used it, Roman? Have you used it?
No, I don't. It's very little social media for me.
Well, just for the fun, for the next time, put it in the chat. Use it to put in the chat to see what's your opinion as a professional using the green screen and all the features from the TikTok about the video editing. It's okay. Yeah, it's just impressive how they put it together. Sure. Yeah, I think it's a very powerful software behind it because, like I said, it's very clear. Every single background is like literally like professionally done. Interesting. Not make any difference. Just I was playing a little bit the other day with that, so because I'm trying to get more and more inside of that platform. But anyhow, I think it was absolutely a great informational thing, and I'm hoping everybody found it very informative, like I did. And Mr. Roman, thank you very much for all your knowledge, all the shares, all the tips and points. And hopefully everybody from now on is going to make a better video presence outside. And for sure, you know, we're going to put this content on YouTube also for other people to watch it. And before we're going to go off, please let us know where we can find you, if you have anything, any classes for us. So in that way, people, they can know about your the things that you do.
Sure, thank you. The best way to stay connected, I'm not selling anything right now, but I stay connected through LinkedIn or Instagram, which let me see, I can put it back here just in case. And you have my email also. Yeah, but let me see, that did not, where is it? But thank you so much for having me, and thank you for this. Is a great question. You guys are such a fun group, and I wish you all great success in the things that you are doing. You know, videos really are powerful and when done well, highly effective in building community and building trust and brand with your audience. All right, can I find my note? There it is. All right, here we go.
Wonderful, sir.
Yeah, no, you guys are great. Sorry, I'm looking for my email to send it to you again, my Instagram and my LinkedIn.
Okay.
And I promised.
I got it, man. I got it.
You got it? All right, thank you.
I got you.
I realized that I was sending something to Alex privately and not to the group.
I do that sometimes too. It's all good. I had one last follow-up question. I know you mentioned using interns as an opportunity to have people do the content. Have you heard of like copywriting? Like I know you're in video and editing, but have you ever seen a situation where people will do like copywriting, sales, copyright internships? Like you could bring people on to say, hey, you know, write some copyright and let's roll, let's grow.
Yeah, copywriting, you know, yeah, it's the same thing. You know, there's a lot of people in the markets. LinkedIn probably would be a great way to publish that you're looking for interns who have skills in copywriting. my background actually went to school was for marketing and advertisement. And although I'm not a copywriter myself, I haven't produced and directed and even written commercials and or content for some of my clients, I have spent significant amount of time in that arena. So I would say, yes, you can go to like Craigslist and find somebody from high school, or you can go to LinkedIn and get someone that went to Stanford and is struggling to get a job, and you get a really highly skilled, talented copywriter. And you know, especially if you have a unique niche, finances, you know, someone that is looking for experience and want to learn, you know, you have an incredible personality, you are highly likable, and I'm sure that people
thank you.
come with you. So yeah.
Or you can read in the chat, and Susan Curtis, it's offering copywriting.
Awesome. Hi.
You see, problem solved. There's a reason it's good to have masterminds. You know, masterminds are the way to go. Anyhow, we have to wrap it up. It's already 1 hour, actually 2 hours and 26 minutes for some of us. But it was a great journey, and I'm very happy to have this kind of meetings. Like I said, we have it every single Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So for sure, we're gonna keep doing this and make sure that everybody's gonna get the best of this thing, like we get tonight with Mr. Roman here, with some amazing knowledge about video editing and how to film it and how to do it, you know, to look good on the screens in front of our customers. And this being said, you know, I wish everybody to have a wonderful week that's coming, produce and 10x it and make sure that you're gonna kill it. And not to forget that next week we're gonna have another session. It's gonna be about discipline, and keep it close, you know.
You guys were great. Thank you so much. Peter, you're doing a fantastic job in gathering and creating a community. Thank you. Thank you. You're giving us all a great gift.
Thank you very much, sir. And
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Roman.
You're welcome.
We can have a community, so we're gonna work together. This community is not mine, it's ours. So
Yes,
everyone
sir.
can do equally. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank
Stay safe,
Guys,
everyone.
good
Take
night.
care.
Good night.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Call me soon.